Welcome to Pam and the Purple Couch podcast, hosted by Pamela Furr, with our co-hosts Dr. Manny Rodriguez, Missy Owen, and Loki DePristo. Together, we're going to dive deep into topics such as education, neurodiversity, autism, and applied behavioral analysis. Remember to click subscribe today so you don't miss out on any future episodes.
Hi, friends and families, and welcome back to Season 2 of Pam and the Purple Couch podcast. Today, we've got Loki back on the couch. We've actually got such a great welcome. I don't know what do you want to call it? Feedback. Feedback, interest. Everyone loved hearing Loki's true, authentic self come through on the last episode of Season 1 of the Purple Couch podcast. So, for Season 2, we've brought him to the Purple Couch. Hello, Loki.
Hi.
To the team. I know.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm sitting here. I'm going to be answering questions. I'm going to be giving questions, I guess. I don't know.
What would you prefer?
Well,
Just to tune in with the conversation?
I'm just sort of being here to be here. But again, I don't know if you're going to send the disclaimer because, like I said in the last episode that I was here, but even though I am autistic and I am on the spectrum, that does not mean I speak for every single autistic individual ever. I just simply have opinions that me and only myself that I share. I think this is a good way to put it. I don't know.
No, I think it's really well.
Perfect.
Okay.
Basically, he wants everyone to know that he's speaking his opinions, his personal preferences, and based on his life experiences and his views. So he does not want to offend any of the other neurodivergent community out there, and let everyone know that he's speaking his views and not that of the entire census. Okay. So on that note, the reason I wanted to have you sit in this seat beside me is because I, of course, watched your episode. Disclaimer, no dropping the F-bomb, okay, especially Season 2. I understand your authentic self, just like your mama, but your IEP even had using proper language instead of profanity. So we want to keep that as, oh, yes, indeed. Indeed.
Awesome.
Moms and dads, that's what I'm telling you. Info at PamelaFurr.com, and that's PamelaFurr.com. Info at PamelaFurr.com. You send me your questions, your concerns, and that can be IEP, Individual Education Plan questions. Yes, I was that mama. When I first went to Loki's IEP meeting, it was myself up against 11 or 12 school board professionals. That's intimidating. So what did I do? I learned FAPE. I learned that 122-page book, front, back, and forwards, to understand what my child's rights were. And since he didn't have a voice, I had to be the voice for him. This podcast is collectively taking all of our information that Dr. Manny, Loki, myself, Missy, what we've all grabbed together to bring it to your home. So please send us your questions. Let us know. We've gotten some of the parents that came back to us and they were wondering about you, Loke. And as a mom, I know, I listened to some of your answers.
Yeah, okay, no, so first off, I was looking at you for the entire time, and now finally once I started looking at the camera, then you decided to put your hand over my back. And also, secondly, don't you have an entire book that's just dedicated to that whole sort of ordeal, or...
So, yeah, the book, can you hear me now, was about our journey.
Yeah.
Okay. Knowing that parents aren't alone. I needed the book to get out first, Loki, so that, when your dad, when myself, when we were going through it, there was nobody out there. We didn't have support groups in 2005. 2005, 6, 7, 8. The only banging the drum inspiration that I can tell you was Jenny McCarthy. She took such a huge leap being a TV personality, and she always had humor. I can remember watching her and Joe Rogan. If I'm aging myself here, but they were on a sitcom like MTV television show. You see, I get the look already. He's like, oh, what? MTV? What? MTV was something back in the day besides just video?
No, I'm saying this because, like, I mean, not saying, but I'm looking at you like that because, like, yes.
So she took a stand with her own son, kind of like the same way with you. And the inspiration, and inspiration's a bad word for it. Loki, she and Jordan Peterson saved your mom's sanity.
I would assume so.
You know, the reading someone else's story that Jenny McCarthy shared in her book gave me the strength to know I wasn't doing this alone. Yeah. So that was the important part. Yeah. You know, just in our own community with Puzzle Box, with Kaleidoscope, with Bridge to Tomorrow, Legacy, all of our own little interworkings. So many times it's parents, even today in 2024, that just need to know that they're not the only ones going through those experiences.
Yeah.
So the podcast was really built.
Excuse me, sorry.
Sorry. We're all going to, this is live. Well, I'm just telling you guys. So I'm making fun of it. My production guy just looked at me like, Pam, really? So, because we want them all to know that this is, hey, Florida, it is probably 93 degrees outside, humidity, allergies, we're all dealing with it.
And it wouldn't be a season starter if I didn't start coughing.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that's how we start.
I mean, it's going to be winter soon, so we don't have to deal with that. Don't we have a topic to get onto, or?
So, yes, the topic today is a family affair, Loki.
Yeah.
We wanted to start season 2, letting our viewers know what's coming up in the next season. And the next, 18 episodes, what are we going to be talking about? What's it going to be like? And this conversation, just you and I having, this is what it's going to be like. A true family affair. As if we were sitting down at, someone's kitchen table or sitting on the couch. Talking about what are the challenges that we're seeing on our daily lives and what are the challenges that families that have outside the box thinkers go through.
Yeah.
So your insight is just like why we had parents sending us all the emoji cons, all the likes, all the shares when you were on the last episode. So we are bringing you back because as your mom, who wasn't there watching these two, they were a little soft on you.
Yeah, I know. You told me during the entire drive. Yes, and also,
be harsher.
Yeah. Also, I'm doubting by the fact that like parents decided to share stuff with specifically my face on it, and I don't know why.
Oh man, do you understand that last year we had over 17,000 viewers?
Well, you never told me anything about it.
Well, I thought you'd get nervous.
No. I want to know how people like about whatever I'm doing here.
Okay, well, this is why we're bringing you back, because they did like it. They liked it so much so that we had a bunch of LinkedIn viewers that were neurodivergent that favorited that actual episode. And it wasn't even the whole episode. It was just clips of it. And it was you being you, just like right now what you're doing. This is what we want. Authentic selves. Not the pompous where we're going to sit down, we're going to get all dressed up, and we're going to talk about, life is really hard with neurodivergent children in our house. Life is hard with any child.
I think just life is hard.
Adults, child, whatever.
It doesn't matter, we're all going through it. The struggle just goes by a different name or a different image depending on whose home you're in.
Yeah.
So that's what we want to do. Just like what you're saying here. We just want to talk to our families and let them know that there are resources, just like Jenny McCarthy did for me, how Jordan Peterson did for both of us, because I'm not sure if we've told you that, and I say we because Loki and I talk to Manny and Missy all the time. But when Loki was growing up, well, listen, when he's growing up, because I have him, my 19-year-old sitting beside me. But Jordan Peterson was a big thing for you too.
Yeah, I remember.
So we used to do, and we talk about families and how to get kids motivated, especially as school is starting for the new year. Well, for Loki, and Loki, I love you. You know that. I say it up front.
Here comes something.
Woo!
Here comes the bud.
Do you have problems getting your kids ready for school or getting for daycare in the mornings?
Yes.
Yeah?
Not as bad as I would have expected.
I mean, that's entirely depending on the child's willingness to actually go to school in the first place.
Yes,
She loves
absolutely.
her teacher, so it's like, you want to go see Mr. Randy?
Yeah. You need to have a teacher that actually, is likable.
Well, you were in public school at that time, so we're just going to leave
okay,
that.
so it's that. Okay, we're talking about that. Okay.
So Loki's way to get him out of school was local radio stations' phone taps.
Oh yeah,
Is that what it was?
95.1 Elvis Duran
Oh my
show.
gosh, I
There you
forgot
go.
about
They still do
that.
it.
It was
Still do it.
it was
It's great.
during
Yes.
every Monday morning a new one would happen. On Wednesday would be a throwback one from specifically like I think like a few months ago. Then I think that was like the only schedules they had for that. And then besides that it was just a regular radio podcast, which was just I'd say was just entertaining in general.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm
But
going to take a pause real quick.
okay,
Hey,
yeah.
parents, he's 19 years old, and the time frame that I'm talking about is when he was around 8 or 9. So if you ever thought that they weren't paying attention or they didn't the
remember.
details or they wouldn't remember,
Yeah.
here's proof positive. So we did, and I used it. Oh my goodness, did I use it? I was like, oh, Loki, we got 10 minutes. 10 minutes. We got to be in the car, or we're going to miss the new one. We got to get in the car, Loki.
Oh, yes, you couldn't rewatch it. If you didn't hear it.
absolutely. Right.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
well,
we didn't even know about that. We just sort of we wanted to catch it live always.
Yep.
We never actually went on YouTube to see if they were existing. I think we were both kind of foolish during that time. Or can I say the word idiotic a little
Yeah,
bit?
you can do that.
We were a little bit idiots.
Well, we liked the live.
Yeah, we liked it being live, but we never actually considered the fact that they were on YouTube.
Well, I think actually we never really considered the fact because podcast, and we're going to go back over a decade, Loki.
Yeah.
10 years ago, podcasts were not as popular as what we're hearing and seeing and doing today.
Well, they're not as popular here still because of the fact that streaming services are slowly becoming integrated into music in general, so you could just stream any music from your phone, so...
And this is why we have Loki on here, because I don't know about
There's
you
my
all.
You literally,
Oh.
you literally. Okay, hold on. First off, we're gonna continue that topic in like 10 minutes from now. I don't know. Second of all, you literally stream Spotify during your
I
drive
do.
home. Yes, that's a streaming service by logic, I think.
Yes, but in 10 years ago, we didn't have Spotify. We were listening to FM radio.
Yes, we were because
Damn.
but like again, still like that. You were making the point saying, oh yeah, no, podcasts weren't really that popular during the time. It was only during that really specific 3 to 5 years that podcasts were popular because A, either nobody had a radio during that time, or B, you skip over the age of podcasts and then suddenly there's streaming services with YouTube and Bluetooth and
Absolutely.
Spotify and SoundCloud and
Well, see, I'm going
fourth
to cut
option.
you off.
Yes,
Because, see, this is where age comes in. So for Manny, Missy, and I, even though we have age differences here within us, which we're going to need your help in the definitions here in a moment, there was Sirius radio. And that was the streaming service.
Oh yeah, the news.
Yes.
News.
Well, no, it wasn't just the news. It had multiple channels,
Oh, it had
things
all
along
sorts of
those that you could
Stuff that was
download.
recorded on gramophones.
Yeah.
Sex them in my car.
Oh,
Oh, yeah?
oh, did you just hear the young man?
Well, yeah, gramophones.
Gramophones.
Yeah,
No,
Oh my
that's even
gosh.
before
That's
ours.
way before our time.
So, going back to this wonderful topic of a family affair, something that Loki is pivoting to is Missy, Loki, and I had this conversation, Manny, about Gen Z versus millennials
Mhm.
versus
Mhm.
Gen X,
Gen Alpha.
Yeah.
Gen Alpha.
Yeah.
So slowly coming into Gen Alpha because of the fact of people being born like in this sort of time as being Gen Alpha.
Well, can you help me? Because I'm really, I get lost in all of this.
I
I know I'm a Gen Xer because I was born in 1976.
I'm gonna be honest. I also don't know anything about like the time gaps between what generation is what.
Okay.
I just know that I think I might. I don't know if I'm Gen Z because I was born in 2005, but
So,
I'm millennial. I believe the cutoff is 95, 96. So I think it starts like early 80s to 95, 90. Because I know I'm at the very end of the millennial.
I really wish I could have done a little bit of Googling before we getting into this topic. But like,
I think you're a solid Gen Z.
yeah, but
Honestly, alphas are like
well,
oh, Manny's pulling it up for
Yeah,
us.
this
This
is
is
the
a
data,
wonderful day of technology,
See how
so
long
we
it
can
can
start
take.
looking
okay, well,
at this.
I could have done it like ahead of time, but like again, like we literally just jumped into this conversation,
Yeah.
just like because you just came before we even started recording. You literally just came into the couch to say, "Okay, we're going to talk about Gen Z and all that sort of stuff." And I didn't even know what generation I'm from, and you asked me, "Okay, you're our most recent addition. Ask us about the generations and stuff." And and I'm gonna be honest. All I know from me being a teacher assistant is that the amount of like internet slop that's going on with the current age and can
Yes.
only be described as like what Gen Z, Gen Alpha, I don't know at this point. But basically like I just hold on. I lost my train of thought. Give me a moment. Okay, you don't have to do that. But all I know is that just like there's just a lot of stuff going around that is mostly just I feel like this will be just a topic that once we get over the topic of generation gaps and all that stuff,
Yes.
I could talk about basic like how much internet
Oh,
kids have been
we
having.
are. It's so good that you brought that up.
Yes,
because...
but hold on. First things first.
He's
We
cutting me
need to
off.
get the correct terminology so that way no one
Okay.
thinks we're foolish.
All right.
All right, so here's
Manny's
some
bringing it in.
generational know-how or knowledge, okay? So we got to go way back because there are people that are still living in this age that were born between the years 1900 and 1945. They're actually the traditionalists.
Okay.
So and these are individuals
So
that
that would
in
be
their
Nanny.
prime,
Yeah.
and these are individuals that in their prime they would know people like Elizabeth Taylor,
Yes.
right? That were famous back then.
Okay.
All right.
Do you know who that is?
I know the name.
Oh, my
see?
goodness.
So we clearly know Missy's not in the traditional anymore. Then there are baby boomers.
Okay.
Baby boomers are those that were born between 1946 and 1964.
Okay, that would be Gigi.
And
Yes.
they would be more familiar with, like, they were in the Bill Clinton era's presidential years, Meryl Streep,
I know Bill.
things like
Okay.
That's great.
that. Missy was influenced by baby boomers. That's what we know. Then there are Generation Xers, right? So Generation X is 1965 to 1980, and I was born in 1980.
Oh, you
So
barely
I'm
got
at the
in.
cusp of that. Now, these are those that definitely know Barack Obama, right, and that era, and Jennifer Lopez and people like that. And there's more, of course, but. Then there's millennials. Millennials were born 1981 to 2000. 2000, okay?
So wait, so you're a millennial.
So
Yeah.
you
Well,
are
I knew I was a
millennial, for
millennial.
sure.
All right.
It was a different end date.
No,
Yeah.
so now that means
So,
so
now, of course, this is according to one source, right?
Okay.
Yes.
And depending on what you read, you might the years kind of slant a little bit.
A very rushed source, might I ask?
Yeah. Now, and by the way, I did this in T-2 seconds, but in
But who comes next?
then-
That would be Loki.
then there's Generation Z, right?
Gen
Generation
Z.
Z, which is 1997 to 2012.
Yep.
Okay.
So mom's Gen X, you're Gen Z.
And then last but not least, the one we're talking about, the more recent one, is
There's
called Generation Alpha,
Yeah.
which is 2010 to 2024.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
These are our kids at Puzzle Box
We're really
Academy.
close.
These are the ones that we are.
Okay.
educating.
Okay. I just wanted
Okay.
to get that whole ordeal out because coming again from being a teacher assistant, the whole Generation Alpha is so internet based.
Wow.
It's kind of amusing how much content they know of that isn't even for them, but that's going to be just for later discussion.
Yep. So give our audience a real quick sneak peek. That is one of our episodes that's coming up. We are going to talk about the internet and how much is too much.
How much is too much?
You know, that's a really good episode that we've got coming up. I think 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, it's one of the episodes that we're doing.
Yeah.
And that is a big trigger for you, especially to hear as your mom. And since Manny and I are the only Gen Xers here, Miss Millennial, you know, no bias here, but to hear your feedback in regards to the Gen Alpha, our current kids in the education system today. So when we're looking at the age bracket, we're looking at our kids that would be, you know, in our elementary schools right now, the kids that are going into preschool. We're going to go deep dive from a Gen Zer that started this. You know, the reason I say started this, Loki, is your generation.
Started?
Yes, well, because Manny and I's generation do believe, and I'm going to say I hope you do, otherwise it's going to be, because he was the last year of Gen X,
that right in the
is when AOL came out.
Yeah, dial-up connection.
You know, it was
Still hear that? I
yes,
still hear that tone.
I'm also realistic. You just literally learned this information today, and you're just starting to now use that saying, "Oh yeah, well, Manny was born on the cusp
Oh,
of it."
absolutely.
I think
Therefore,
she kind of knew though.
I
Well-
kind of knew, but I honestly I thought he was more of a Gen Xer. I did, Manny. I'm
I know,
going
I
to put it
definitely-
in there. I think and I think it's again our upbringing.
Yeah, because
You
my
know?
sister was born in 1977. The way my upbringing was, dial-up connection, that was kind of a novel thing when I was a teenager. So that now to see my own kids that are in Wi-Fi mode and everything is instant, and it's a different generation.
One of the things we talked about was the Dewey Decimal System.
Oh, yeah.
His generation is like, what is that? What are you doing?
Looking at the library cards
Right.
and trying to.
You know, we didn't have internet access like
Mhm.
that.
We had the
You know,
Oh yeah, the little rolly things.
Yeah.
You got to remember, I was in high school
Yeah.
when this came out.
Mhm.
So we had to go to the library. You know, I'm sure Miss Millennial here won't know, but there were things that were called the encyclopedias, and you had them in your house.
We
You
have
know?
those at Puzzle Box.
Oh,
We
the
still have-
encyclopedias
Yes, we
in
do.
the library.
Mhm.
Why? Because you got your information for papers and research because we didn't have Google.
Mhm.
So this is a true generational gap here. And the reason I'm bringing that up and I'm talking about it so strongly is because we have so many grandparents now raising their grandchildren. We have so many aunts and uncles that are now caregivers to the next generation. So Loki, when you're talking about this next generation being the internet generation, the
Yeah.
Wi-Fi generation, the
Mhm.
connected generation, when you have people my age and older than myself that weren't raised in this world of technology, it can be a really hard learning curve.
Yeah, indeed. I most definitely agree because again, you kind of also had this entire learning curve when I was what, like 12, 13,
Yeah.
14?
Something along those lines. But I chose to try to keep up with you as much as possible so that when we would have discussions, I wasn't lost in the sauce.
Yeah, and I would be able to explain it to you
Yeah.
somewhat, at least during my earliest of communication skills, at least.
Yes.
But I think that's also a thing that I feel like we'll get into more in the. I'm sorry
Future
to
episodes.
spoil an episode, but the socializing episode,
Yes.
where we can talk about how other parents have been restricting internet access instead of like trying to teach them in a traditional sense rather than getting into the new sense.
Correct.
If that
Mhm.
makes any sense. I said sense three
Sense-
times in one.
sense. It does make sense.
It did.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
So another episode that Loki is talking about is communication, socialization.
Mhm.
What is it like in the real world versus the online world?
And how easy it is to socialize. Again, which will probably be one of my favorite episodes to actually talk about because I feel like I'll actually have a mainstay sort of feel around, I
Well,
guess.
yes, you'll be our baseline.
Mhm.
You know, in the world of ABA, we always look for where is the baseline of the information, meaning, okay, so if this is the median, this is where we're starting from, where can we go up to make the merger of my traditional world and your online world more adaptive for both of us?
Mhm.
And I think that's the goal of that episode. And it's to enlighten our listeners to understand from your viewpoint how important the technology is in socialization today, in friendships, in communication, in gatherings, you know, because Missy, Manny, and I are from a generation, we got on our bicycles, you know, and okay, well, we'll meet after school.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not happening in
Mhm.
today's world.
Mhm.
Oh my
So
gosh,
we've got to help our parents understand how do we communicate to all these different generational changes that have happened. And technology is only getting better,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
but is that also getting worse? What does that, you know, where do we
Yeah.
find the balance?
Yeah.
And I think it's with everything. We just have to find balance.
Mm-hmm.
So Manny, this is your part. Do you want to talk to our audience?
Oh, so right now is a great opportunity so that people understand that the reason we're doing season 2 is because we've gotten so much good positive praise, but it wouldn't have happened without the people listening.
Yes.
So if this is an episode that you're already enjoying and you're waiting for in anticipation future episodes, now's a great time to like, subscribe, and share with your friends and families. Bring your families and friends to our family.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And Missy and I are going to get into that jive. But again, this is a new thing. It's a new thing for
Yeah.
us. So I've got to get used to that. Like, click, subscribe,
Yeah.
share.
Yeah.
So we need your help to get this information out to the masses.
Mhm.
So new episodes are coming. What do those episodes pertain to? We're going to talk about the sense of the public school system today and the challenges our neurotypical students are facing. We're going to talk about community, whether that's online or if that's in person, and does it really matter nowadays? We're also going to talk about screen time, how much internet is too much internet, or how much screen time is too much. And I'm going to use Loki and I and how we handle it in our own house. And look, guys, we butt heads on this every single week. At some point within a 7-day period, there is a time that I'm like, I wish you would just get off your phone. Correct?
Yeah.
So we just want to bring that into your homes and show you some toolbox, some skills.
I don't know if it's always tradition that you do the next transition to the next episode. But
Okay.
since we already had an idea for the next episode, do you mind if I do the transition?
Not at all.
All right, thank you. Thank you for coming with us on the Purple Couch podcast. Join us next time on the next episode where we'll be talking about meditation and source of the like, right?
Yes.
All right, here. Sorry, now you can say the last word.
All right. Well, guys,
Sorry.
from our family to yours, tune in next time on Pam and the Purple Couch podcast.